What's up? We are Campus Attic, by fans, for fans, where we've always got picks of dick. Stout. This week we're going to Pasadena, to a place that was the Rose Bowl before the Rose Bowl, a place that actually established Oregon's early football legacy. It's called Tournament Park. So, college football's first game was in 1869, Rutgers and Princeton, but there was no postseason, no bowl games. That changed in 1902 as a means to actually sell real estate. Rose parades had been held since 1890 as a way to entice wealthy folks from back east to come out to Pasadena and buy a winter home in sunny SoCal. After the parade, everyone would gather in an area known as Tournament Park, now on the Caltech campus, for a picnic. Events were held like Roman chariot races, foot races, tug-of-war competitions, horse races, and more. In 1902, a college football game was organized, known as the East-West Tournament Game, pitting what was supposed to be the best team from the East and West playing each other. A game wouldn't be played again until 1916, when Brown and Washington State tangled. But Tournament Park was the site for other events in between. In the early days of aviation, Tournament Park was the site of several landmark flights. March 20th, 1909, Roy Nabenshoe piloted his balloon from Tournament Park. 2 years later, Cal Perry completed the first transcontinental flight from New York to California by landing at Tournament Park. So in 1917, it was Oregon's turn to highlight the Rose Parade festivities. Picked to play Penn in the East-West Tournament Game. Now, Washington had technically won the PCC, despite Washington and Oregon playing to a 0-0 tie earlier that year. But Eugene, being closer to Pasadena than Seattle, it was the Webfoots who were picked to play Penn. So, take that, Huskies. In order to pay for the trip and an extra month of coach salaries, the UO student body sold the student bookstore inside Fenton Hall. Penn wasn't considered the best team from the East either. Pittsburgh was actually awarded the national championship that year, but there was still an East Coast bias, the media giving Oregon zero chance of beating an East Coast power like Penn. So confident, too, were Penn's coaches that Oregon head coach Hugo Bezdek was actually invited to come watch Penn's team practice, where coaches showed Bezdek a special trick play double pass they'd been working on. Now, Bezdek thought it was interesting, and he thanked them. In that game, Oregon ran that same double pass play Penn had shown them, and they ran it for a touchdown. Oregon would score again, and led by 3 interceptions by Charles Shy Huntington, the Webfoots won 14-0. Oregon was now the most dominant and flashy football program in the country west of the Mississippi, led by a coach thought to be the most revolutionary, forward-thinking mind, completely changing the game, until a professional sports team in Pennsylvania snatched him away. Wait, this sounds kind of familiar. 1918. Several Ducks returned to Tournament Park along with Bezdek under the guise of playing for the Mare Island Marines. Now, this was because the President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, decided he wanted 2 military bases to play in the East-West Tournament Game while the nation was plunged in World War I. Bezdek, along with several of his former players at Oregon, now Marines, beat Camp Lewis. Another Oregon Webfoot victory, well, with an asterisk. Bezdek was then hired to manage the Major League Baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. So, with the coach leaving to lead a pro team in Pennsylvania, Oregon hired from within. Wait, that sounds familiar. Oregon returned to Tournament Park for the 1920 game, but lost on a controversial call 7-6 when a field goal that everyone, including the scoreboard operator, thought was good, everyone except for the refs. It marked the 3rd time for one Oregon player to be playing an East-West Tournament Game, Hollis Huntington, Shy's brother. But there would be one last, often forgotten chapter to Oregon football at Tournament Park. During the 1920 season, USC hosted Oregon, the game being played at Tournament Park in Pasadena, where Oregon just months prior had come a field goal short of establishing a dynasty. This wasn't the same Oregon team, though. Ravaged by injuries and missing their star Bill Steers, Oregon's offense was so inept that the team resorted to punting on 1st and 2nd down for most of the game, hoping that their defense maybe could score. 0 passes completed, 0 first downs, and they lost to USC 21-0. It would be the last time Oregon set foot in Tournament Park. The following year, a couple miles away, construction began on a new permanent stadium. We know this as the Rose Bowl. Upon its completion, the East-West Tournament Game would henceforth be known as the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, and the first postseason bowl game. But for how often Oregon made Tournament Park home during its glory years, the Rose Bowl proved elusive. It wouldn't be until 1958 that Oregon would play there, losing 10-7 to the number 1 ranked and national champion Ohio State. Yet in a loss, Oregon coach Len Casanova was carried off the field on his players' shoulders. The Ducks playing neck and neck in a game where, just like back in 1917, Oregon had been given 0 chances to win. UCLA started playing their home games in the Rose Bowl in the early 80s, and Oregon returned to the Rose Bowl game in 94, 2010, and 2012. Oregon claims 1917 as a Rose Bowl win. Well, kinda. It's an East-West tournament victory, and the win in 2012 finally got the monkey off Oregon's back. The curse of 1920 lifted with Oregon's win over Wisconsin. Tournament Park today is a track for Caltech with a small public park behind it. Little remains of the storied past of Tournament Park, aside from a small monument marking the area where so much history in football and other notable Pasadena events took place. And for a stretch was the Oregon Webfoot's home away from home. That's it for us this week. Remember to keep checking back. Remember, it's always game day.